Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols, reaming my body.
Alright guys, Boruto episode 227 review. This episode right here was a nice little episode, but one of the biggest things that I definitely do have to point out is my guy Konohamaru. Now of course we understand for the sake of the storyline, Konohamaru was hog-tied and the people who tied him up was essentially looking like Javante Davis, but at this particular point I don't really expect much from Konohamaru, so as of right now I'm just going to say my piece about Konohamaru and I am going to keep it moving. Now as I said, Konohamaru was essentially doing this for the actual plan. It turns out that he had an actual idea. I do want to kind of touch on the specific frustrations with Konohamaru because I feel like this episode right here, a lot of people wouldn't necessarily understand why a lot of people would kind of be mad at Konohamaru. By the way, if you guys didn't necessarily know, Konohamaru is essentially a fan favorite. He's been introduced from the very beginning, from the OG Naruto times. He was essentially Naruto's student when Naruto was literally still getting quote unquote, but we kind of thought that Konohamaru was going to be good. Now, I'm not saying that Konohamaru is absolutely garbage. He's just a regular jonin. People didn't necessarily have that stand for Konohamaru. People thought that Konohamaru would be above a random jonin. We kind of thought that a Konohamaru would be at least a character like, let's say, Data. Let's say a character like even Sasori or something like that. Could you imagine a character like Sasori being hogtied in some random village, being intimidated by some random ninja? We can't even call them jonin because I don't even know if they were that level, and just being absolutely disrespected, and he had to wait until nighttime to the fog for his actual plan to go through. Absolutely no. If we're being completely realistic, characters in Akatsuki, they're pretty much destroying everybody that was essentially holding that village captive and potentially kidnap the villagers and make that their village. And I'm not joking when I say this, Konohamaru should be a Kage already, but that's besides the point. We still definitely do have to give the flowers to Konohamaru. I talk about this all the time, how individually Boruto, Mitsuki, and Sarada may have actually surpassed Konohamaru in just raw strength, speed, and etc. But we still do have to understand where they came from and where they are right now. Konohamaru is still a very big influence in that, and it might not be from a power standpoint, but of course when it comes to the maturing and the ideology, Konohamaru played a very big role in that, and we've seen his impact in this particular episode right here because, of course, Sarada, Boruto, and Mitsuki, if they would have came together and all collectively said, yo, F that guy, Konohamaru, we don't need him, we were stronger without him, no one in the fan base would have blinked an eye, but because they're showing him so much respect, it just shows the impact that Konohamaru actually had, because they didn't have to do this. They didn't have to necessarily make Konohamaru seem like that guy, which of course we all know he's not, but of course he still definitely did have a profound impact on the overall Team 7, Boruto, Mitsuki, and Sarada in general. And of course, as we do understand, that right there is the strongest core team in the Hidden Leaf Village as of right now, of course, among the Genin and Chunin. One thing that I would have definitely enjoyed though, I would have definitely enjoyed us seeing a very extensive fight or extensive battle between Team 7 mainly, because I don't necessarily think that we've actually gotten to see something like that in a very long time. Of course, we did actually get to see Ao in that fight right then and there. It kind of mimicked, I wouldn't necessarily say it was as good as, but it kind of mimicked the Land of Waves when we got to see the original Team 7 with Kakashi, Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke fight against Zabuza and Haku. That right there was absolutely amazing, but of course to have a fight like that to potentially end off and be the last mission of Team 7, I thought that that right there should have actually been what happened. Of course, it would have been absolutely amazing. Now, of course, they tried to build up the character of the rogue ninja from the Hidden Grass Village. Let's keep it legit. Let's be all the way honest. This guy never seemed like he was a legitimate threat to a lot of us out there, but regardless, he did serve the purpose, but I still do wish that we got to see an extensive battle between Team 7 alongside Konohamaru with an actual worthy opponent. Now, even though I wanted the actual action scenes to be better, it was still really good. I remember when the fog actually came down, I don't know why, but I was actually legitimately thinking that Sarada learned the fog ninjutsu from somebody else, or even Mitsuki would have possibly done that. I thought it was an actual jutsu and not legitimately the fog. If it would have been an actual jutsu from like Sarada or something like that, it would have been like 10 times better, I'm not gonna lie, because that right there in itself is an absolutely amazing jutsu. And of course, just by the sight of what we're actually seeing right here in this particular episode, that jutsu right there is so helpful. So I would absolutely love that. Not only that, Mitsuki utilizing the snake to take out almost the entire opposition, that right there was also amazing as well. One of the things that I definitely do have to point out is the fact that when Mitsuki actually does something, it's almost always off screen, which I almost hate, but you gotta understand it, man, because Mitsuki is the type of low-key character. Of course, you understand that Boruto and Sarada, when it comes to actual overtly showing their abilities, they're going to be on the forefront, but Mitsuki, his impact is going to be much more heightened because, of course, Konohamaru is not necessarily going to be there. So I really am excited to see exactly what the new Team 7 is actually going to be doing moving forward. Now, getting past that real quick, I definitely do have some problems with the overall episode. I think the first thing is that Naruto never really brought up the fact that Boruto has a problem with his karma seal. Now, we do understand that Boruto as of right now is still on the pills. We do understand that Boruto has his actual condition kind of or sort of quote unquote fixed, but we do understand if Boruto loses an excessive amount of chakra, there's still a very good chance that Momoshiki can pop up even though Boruto is still on the pills. Now of course we do not know for sure because we don't necessarily know the exact effect that the actual pills is going to have on Boruto's karma seal and his body in general, but for that problem to not even be mentioned, I think that right there was definitely a problem. Now if you tell me that Naruto wouldn't mention it, of course that's not necessarily a big deal, but for a character like even Shikamaru not to mention it, that right there in my personal opinion just seemed a little bit unrealistic. If you guys weren't necessarily tapped in with the temperature, after the Ishiki Otsutsuki fight, people were asking the general question if Boruto should actually go on missions, and people were even questioning Boruto's involvement with the chunin exam. So now we're essentially going over a situation where Konohamaru is in a life or death situation with a rogue ninja that we do understand is in the bingo book. He's actually dangerous, even though he didn't necessarily look the most dangerous, but Naruto is now openly inviting Boruto to go out on those types of missions, and Shikamaru is giving him the cosign. That right there just seemed a little bit off to me. Now I might be completely wrong. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section below. I don't necessarily want to make a total big deal about it, because of course this episode was more relevant emotionally than physically, because of course it was Konohamaru and Team 7's last mission together. But regardless, that right there just seemed a little bit off to me. Now not only that, we also do have to point out the Sarada fans in this episode are going to be going crazy. They're going to be going crazy for like the next couple of months or so until another person in Team 7 does actually become a chunin. But this specific episode right here, we got so much Sarada content. Sarada was essentially the star of the show, of course, other than Konohamaru and Boruto. Not only that, a lot of the Sarada diehard fans out there, they love to see Sarada and the Uchiha family content. Of course, we got to see Sasuke in this episode, we got to see Sakura in this episode as well. We got to see Sakura actually heal somebody. Oh my goodness, the Sakura fans are probably on Twitter going crazy at this particular point, but it was just so much Sarada content. A lot of people believe that I hate Sarada, stuff like that. Nah, I love seeing things like this. I love seeing Sarada get the actual screen time that she deserves, and of course whenever she does something good, I'm definitely gonna hype her up. But when people start comparing her to Kawaki, that's where I jump off the ship. But let me know what you guys think about this episode in the comment section below. There's definitely a bunch of stuff that I didn't necessarily cover, but let me know what you guys think. It's been your boy Baara, and we out.
It's a knife.